Welcome, foolish mortals. I mean, honored guests. I am your host with the most, Dracula. Hi, my name is Spencer. Welcome to the Complimentary Podcast.
I don't know what you're doing. This tall, skinny white man kidnapped me and put me in a dog cage, and now I'm here in this spooky castle.
Castle?
Yeah, I mean, there's bricks.
I guess there is stone in the walls.
Why did your accent change? I thought you were Italian.
I'm not Italian.
They're bloodsuckers all the same. Wait, Tommy, did he take you here in a dog cage too?
No, I rode an Uber.
To here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but for a castle, this is kind of a dump.
Welcome, everyone, to the Halloween special of Complimentary Mania.
So today, guys, we're trying to talk about things that we each personally find scary, horrifying, terrific,
Or on topic.
or on topic.
The situation I find myself in.
Trevor,
You're in a
fine.
dog cage.
What?
Ignore the dog cage. There is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Oh yeah,
The
there is
cake was a lie? That's how you tricked me.
No, that's the horror right there. Is the cake is a lie.
Speaking of horrifying foods, our first topic today is going to be the lightest tone topic we have because we're trying to be scary. We're talking... Our first topic is old people foods we personally find disgusting. I'm
gives me a
leading
shudder.
off, and I'm gonna say those Jello salads with like bits of tuna and vegetables.
Oh,
in
the
them.
horror.
The Jello molds of the 1970s and
How
80s.
disastrous.
Oh God, I remember those. It was literally just
You would
anything,
remember the 70s, Spence.
It was literally anything
when
and
you just got into
everything
retirement, bro.
you could think of into a Jello mold. So it was like there were carrots, peas, hard-boiled eggs, Spam.
Lettuce, potatoes, clams, tomatoes, green beans, yams, hams.
Whatever else the motherfucker said.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing that I question, and I'm gonna kind of answer my own question, but why the fuck did they make it like that? To preserve it.
It
No.
wasn't to preserve it.
Right?
It was
Jell-O-
just to be interesting looking.
No.
Because they would put it in the clear gelatin.
Hold on, Bussy's
And-
got something.
No.
You got some?
Let him go.
Jello
Let him cook,
used to
okay.
be Jello used to be like a decadent thing. Like only the very, very rich and wealthy could afford to eat Jello.
I thought that was ice cream.
No, and yeah, it was ice cream. It was everything.
And pineapples.
Yeah, I mean, remember, people just starve sometimes.
For the
Those were usually
majority
not
of
rich
humanity, we ate rotten vegetables we found sometimes, and meat that was a little too old for us to consider it edible now.
people. Average Thursday lunch.
Heck yeah.
I eat that on Tuesdays, man. Wednesdays are awful.
Poor schedule choice.
Anyway, so gelatin used to be something very decadent that only the very wealthy could eat. And there was a new technology that came into play that allowed us to mass produce gelatin so people could eat it. And we were so obsessed with it that we started eating it with everything for a while. And went a little crazy with the whole Jello stuff.
Kind of like the ramen thing. When people would just put ramen into every recipe. That's a much more recent thing, but like you remember like the ramen tacos? That's a legitimate thing.
I know spaghetti tacos. Those are good.
I've never been
No.
close enough.
Hold on. Wait a fucking minute, dude.
Okay.
You belong in the last episode. We were talking about cryptids and shit. Dude,
No, a spaghetti taco
you're
is
about to be
literally
admitted
just
into the
a
SCP catalog,
It's
brother.
literally just a taco filled with spaghetti.
yeah. That's horrendous.
And of course, like the
no wonder
the
why you're
sauce and
considered a
meat and
monster,
whatnot.
Dracula. You deserve to be in this dank basement for eating spaghetti tacos.
I feel
You
like-
are an Italian. I knew it.
No. I feel like putting spaghetti in a taco
Is an act against Italians and God.
It's more offensive to Italians than anything we've said in this podcast.
So you're like an exiled Italian now.
No, I'm not Italian. I just like a spaghetti taco.
Okay, keep playing your tricks, Magic Man.
Yeah.
Jello cakes are fucking disgusting.
Absolutely. They were horrible back then, but nobody had the guts to say it.
I think they liked it back then because Jello was a novel flavor and concept, so they kind of did it
Jello
with
really
everything.
didn't have a flavor.
It does. We
It
just
has,
can't taste it because we were raised on it.
it has a very mild flavor because, and also this is mostly like, just straight gelatin, which is also more or less just hoove.
Bless you.
And it was just more about what can we put into this to make it look interesting. What can we do to make this
You're
look
essentially
unique?
saying it's more of an art piece.
It was more of an art piece. Kind of like oh goodness, what's her name? From Christmas Vacation.
I was this close to saying Jemima.
Aunt Bethany's Jello mold from Christmas Vacation. With cat food in it.
Ew.
Yes.
Disgusting. Hey, fruitcake kind of belongs in the same sort of sphere.
Fuck yeah. I mean, we're a little off topic because fruitcake's like a Christmas.
Fruitcake's about 3 months out from now.
Yeah.
As of time.
How about this? Something that's more on topic. Candy corn.
Candy corn is
delicious.
Y'all are the people who eat the wax bottles, aren't you?
Okay,
I chewed on them as a kid, alright?
I knew it. I knew it.
Could just like murder me and like hang me up in your dungeon down here, but like I'm gonna admit to it. I love the taste of wax.
Yo,
candy corn.
That's kinky.
Quotation marks.
Sounds like you went to the Marines if you're eating that much wax.
The red ones are especially the favorite.
Shout out to Danny.
Our boy Danny out there.
No, candy corn's great as fuck.
Candy corn is so mid.
Why is it mid? Give me a reason.
I don't like the taste.
Okay, I do. This guy does.
Yeah.
Right?
It's got a great taste. I love the texture. Like the tips.
Usually they have the ridges too.
Yeah, the
tips.
Yeah, the tips are like crispy, and it gets
so
like
you like it when it's
meatier
red,
further
right?
down.
Yes. You freak.
You're the one who likes candy corn, kinky motherfucker.
Okay, so our old people foods that no one likes are in order: Jello, fruitcake, and candy corn. Which, by the way, last one's just wrong.
It's not an old person food. It's just one you don't fucking like, which is quite ironic.
Spence, you can list any food, and it's an old person food. Can you pick a food you actually like?
Wow. Okay. Jeez.
Okay, let's
sugar
cool it.
daddies.
Oh yeah, those are awful. I can't defend.
Yeah,
those.
I can't fight on this one. Those.
Bro, you get that in your Halloween bag, and you look down at it, you're like, why do you exist?
It tastes like cold medicine.
Yes.
You know, this is
horrible.
This is a bit off of the schedule that we have for topics, but why don't we just talk about like some of the candies you can get if we're on the topic of
like the bad ones?
Yeah, the bad ones.
Okay, let's start.
What do you want least in your Halloween bag?
Almond Joys.
I would take Almond Joys over these. So you know those little bubblegum eyeballs with the eyeball literally just printed on the plastic, so it's just a white bubblegum?
They're not terrible.
I don't actually.
They're mid
I've
as
never
fuck.
had those.
No, they lose their flavor faster than a zebra stripe, okay?
Would you eat fucking Double Bubble? Would you eat Double Bubble?
I would eat Double Bubble
Just
over
stop
that.
bitching. Because those things lose flavor. Like
But
within the
these lose
first 5
flavor
seconds of
faster than a
consumption.
Double Bubble.
No, they don't.
Yes,
I've
they
had
do.
them, bro.
I'll fight you on this one.
I have one that I'm gonna fight Tommy on, and I know it. Tommy, and I'm leaning in. Milk duds are an act against God.
What?
No, you're wrong.
You are so wrong.
I don't care what both of you say.
So is
you're
it? Hold on.
the
Is it
candy
malt?
corn.
Is it the malt?
No, it's the caramel. It's the squishy duds that get stuck in between your fucking teeth.
Oh, I'm thinking of
It's like
Whoppers.
chewing on the bottom of
Whoppers.
Sorry, old man moment.
We know.
Milk duds. Okay, so back on actual milk duds, you're still wrong though.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It's chocolate and caramel. What's there not to like?
How can you be upset with chocolate and caramel?
Because there's nothing that's like... How do I put it? It's not solid enough for me to like easily chew and just swallow, but it's not like a Gushers.
Yes, because
It's
it's
so
caramel,
hard-
not Gushers.
Oh boy, I sure do love chewing down on my sweet fucking boot leather. Nah, 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 nah. Wow, this is the shittiest gum I've ever planted my
No,
teeth
it's caramel.
upon.
It would be the boot polish.
Exactly! Thank you for supporting my point, old man. Listen,
But I'm still
Milk Duds
saying-
are an F-tier candy. They are the worst. I will spit in the face of anyone who puts it in my bucket.
Listen, Milk Duds aren't the greatest, but I like them because they're chocolate and caramel, and it's hard to go wrong with that.
Agreed.
Whoppers, awful candy. Hate
What?
that candy.
Whoppers? Okay,
Hold on,
you
hold-
have a story to explain.
Why?
there was a mutual friend of ours, and they had a bag of factory surplus Whoppers that they just kept on the floor, and they went bad and got expired.
And you ate them anyway.
I was a hungry high school kid, and I ate handfuls and handfuls of them, and spent several hours puking them up.
Oh.
I still remember the texture of the outer layer of the malts as they kept hitting the back of my throat, coming out. And the thing about malt is everything tastes like malt, even malt vomit.
Oh.
So I just can't eat Whoppers anymore.
So you can't eat malt either?
I avoid malty things, yeah.
Well,
Dang.
kids,
That is a
to
shame
everyone who
because
likes Whoppers, there go your hopes and dreams.
I absolutely love Whoppers. I love malt. But the
Okay,
thing
Whoppers
is,
are pretty good.
I have
There's better.
I have the same thing with Reese's. Once upon a
Really?
time, Once upon a
Reese's are
time,
18.
I ate a Reese's.
Don't give me
that
that
was
look.
so dry.
talk.
The peanut butter inside was so dry, it made me gag. And now I refuse to eat any sort of Reese's cup.
Damn, any sort? Not even
I mean, like the bars or whatnot are fine, but it's like the Reese's cups, the trees, the whatever they decide to make them into, those I cannot eat.
Damn.
The cups, the trees, the bunnies, no Reese's.
Yep. So Trevor, which
I don't
one?
get it.
Do you have one
Reese's
that
are
you're sick
A
on?
tier.
Do you have a candy you're sick on?
That I'm sick on? I mean, I already listed Milk Duds, but if I have to give another... Let's see.
You don't have a candy throw-up story. You just have candy you don't like for no reason.
That I don't like for no reason.
Yes.
Wow.
Hey, Milk Duds are good.
Sorry,
Duds
it
are
feels
good.
like I'm eating a war munition.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, some
What?
candy.
What is that supposed to mean?
Have you never had an
I
MRE for
casual-
fun?
So are you, like,
I casually
a monster with him? You did Uber here,
Yeah.
so I'm the only prisoner.
Yeah.
Alright. Are you guys gonna eat me?
No, we're just torturing you.
Oh, okay. That's why. That's why you keep disagreeing with me. That Milk Duds are easily the worst candy. You know what?
That's
Comment
disagree. Hard
on this
disagree.
podcast whether or not Milk Duds are the worst.
No, what you're gonna do is post on the podcast how much you like Milk Duds.
I need to come up with another candy.
So,
spot.
Almond Joys are awful.
Almonds are just awful.
I don't know about that.
I
Look, okay,
I would hate finding them.
C tier. Okay, they're not great, but I would munch down on one much more preferably than something like a Milk Dud.
F tier.
I'd even take them over Whoppers.
I can't eat Almond Joys.
Now Mounds are just better.
Mounds are better Almond Joys, but better shit is still shit.
Yeah, that's like pointing out the
To
difference
be fair,
between
they
a
both kind
polished
of do
turd
look
and a
like
turd.
shit.
All
Yes.
candy bars look like
Okay,
shit.
here, I have
Except for Milky Ways, which look like veiny cocks.
no. Those are
I
the
thought that was
Snickers
Snickers.
bars.
Oh, right, my bad. Sorry, guys.
They got the vein inside
I'll tell you
of it.
a candy that does caramel and chocolate, right? And that's Lint. Lint. Lindt. Clearly, I'm dyslexic.
Lident.
Yeah, Lint. I don't know. You're an
Lindt.
Italian. You're supposed to know how to pronounce
You
that.
said
or whatever.
lint. I thought you were
Yeah,
I was
like-
gonna say I like
I lift up
munching
my
on
shirt and I
chocolate
just
lint.
fucking dig in there. That's the best candy of all, kids. Your belly button lint. No,
he
Lint
got them-
chocolates. Those little like chocolate balls.
You got one of them
filled
lint
with the
rollers he sucks
caramel.
on like a soda.
Those are good. Those are good. It's like cracking open a Kinder Egg, but instead of a toy, it's like just the richest caramel ever. And they've got different like flavors. So some of them you get the like liquid milk chocolate on the inside of the chocolate ball, and then you have the swirls where it's like vanilla cream and chocolate, and then there's the caramel. Dude, those are so fucking good.
I like the ones that are like 90% cocoa on the inside. So you just bite into it and it's the deepest, richest dark chocolate you've ever had.
Dude,
By rich, you mean bitter?
Yeah,
Hear me
very. It's so good.
I don't remember the brand, but I see them at Walmart all the time, and sometimes when I'm
Ghirardelli.
feeling a bit peckish, huh?
Ghirardelli?
Yeah, Ghirardelli's. Well, those are the mini
squares.
squares. I'm talking about the actual like bars, like rectangular bars. That's what you're talking about, right, Tommy?
No, I'm talking about
You're talking about Ghirardelli's, the little mini packaged ones.
I'm talking about
squares.
the Lindors,
Lint.
Lint.
The lint
The lint
Those are
balls.
the balls.
Yeah, the
Or-
lint balls
You
that
like
have
the
like
balls?
the balls that have like 90% cocoa in them. Those are good.
Those are good. Hear me out. There's these bars, right? They're not Ghirardelli bars. They're not Lint or Lindor or whatever Star Wars name you want to bring up, okay?
Leia?
No.
Andor?
That's Endor.
Listen, there are these dark chocolate bars. There's one that has raspberry bits in it, and it's like 80% cocoa. It's dark chocolate. Those things are so fucking good. It's like just a little bitter, but not too much, and it's got the raspberry, like, fruitiness in it. Those bars go hard as fuck.
You'd be the
I
kind
will
of
make
guy
myself
that eats
sick on
those orange flavored chocolates.
Oh, we have those
Yes,
at my house.
yes,
They're
I would.
so good.
Those go hard as fuck. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, give me some.
I got sick
We just
off
got
those
some on
as
camera.
Well.
Oh.
I hate that.
Well, we're in bad-good company, I guess. Speaking of bad company, are we ready to move on to the next
I
topic?
think we have rambled on about chocolate and horrible foods.
Everyone.
Well, horrible foods aside, let's get ready to talk about a very horrible series of games.
Listen,
no.
we can't talk
Wait.
about this here. Dracula, show us to your darkest dungeon.
No, that's a good series
That's-
of games.
Oh yeah,
No.
no, it's the other
Why
one.
are you pointing at the bathroom?
The darkest dungeon.
No, actually, we need to go to the security room because we're going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh my god.
No,
A travesty.
no, not this one.
So, Trevor, you wanted to bring up the effects that FNAF, or Five Nights at Freddy's for the uninitiated, the lucky few of you,
All 7.
All 5, because now 2 of you have heard it.
all 6 people Spence's age who haven't heard of what FNAF is. You wanted to talk about its effects on horror movies and games.
What did you call me?
So, Trevor, how did FNAF affect horror movies and games?
Do you remember maybe a decade ago? You know,
Has it already been a decade?
it has been a decade. FNAF came out in 2013.
Damn.
FNAF 1.
That's 11 years.
No, that is definitely 12
That's
years.
no, that's
13.
11. My bad. A decade and some change.
No, I'm doing the math backwards.
It's okay, old man moment.
Old man
Look.
moment.
Do you remember maybe 12, 13 years ago when horror was a lot more traditional?
I don't.
Amnesia, The Dark Descent.
I was being homeschooled and I missed the...
Actually, that's perfect, Spence. That's something I wanted to bring
Dude,
up.
Amnesia was so good.
I got Amnesia on sale just on my Xbox, just for funsies. That is one of the best horror games I have ever played.
It's scary, but not scary.
The creatures in it aren't even really that scary. It's just tense.
Yeah.
The situation, the build-up, right?
Going through this
You're
big
wandering around in
castle.
sort of this drunken stupor, but you're not drunk. You're suffering from the effects of amnesia. But in addition, all the stress, like, compounding on your head. You're swinging around in these dark caverns and you're hearing these echoing rings through your head. And the lights are swaying around you. You're trying to find your way through this labyrinth of stone. And there's creatures chasing you, and let's be honest, the creatures just looking at them are like mid as fuck. But it's about the setting and the tension and the buildup.
I get you. Sometimes horror is more about vibes than about, like, actual aesthetics. That's why people will say things like, don't show the monster, leave people to imagine it for as long as you possibly can, because...
Yeah,
the
like
act of being scared is the scary thing.
Like the hippopotamus Lovecraft theory.
Yeah.
Like, traditional horror movies, I mean, they gradually fell off as years went on, but they had...
I'm sorry, what? We've been getting traditional horror movies, like, pretty consistently in theaters for, like, the past 5 years now.
Recently, it doesn't feel that way.
I mean, none of them are instant classics, but it's still... probably the most popular movie genre out there. Kids will always want to go to the movies, watch a movie that's too old for them, and be horny with whoever they took the movies to in the horror movie.
First off, freaky. Second,
It's not. There's a psychological effect that has to do with getting in tense situations on a date that makes it more likely for you to go on another date. That's why people always go on dates to scary movies or ride roller coasters.
that was not a factoid I was going to bring up, but that's very interesting. Cool.
That is
Cool
very
lore.
interesting.
Okay, look.
Cool lore.
I don't think FNAF does any of that very well. I don't think a single installment has done that particularly well at all.
Well, FNAF is literally
There's
just
no tension build-up, other than the animatronic is getting closer.
Yes. And FNAF is really just jump scare the game.
I don't know.
Like there is some tense moments, but the only horror of the games is jump scares. getting caught by the animatronics.
I don't know. There's a pretty solid Chuck E. Cheese joke. It's very nostalgic.
Which one?
Yes. It's very nostalgic to people looking back on it now because things like that don't exist for kids' birthdays anymore. So it references a obscure point in history that's probably going to be forgotten.
Showbiz pizza.
Look, it is much harder to scare adults. That's just a simple fact, right?
Yes and no. Listen.
Where's the note coming from?
Listen, as a kid, I was not worried about the economy.
Okay, listen.
If the price of gas went up by a whole $1 overnight, there
Tommy,
are more terrified adults than any Flash game, scary maze thing has ever made out of children.
Listen, that horror movie is called Real Life, okay? We're not talking about that one.
And this one, you can't leave the theater.
You were just saying categorically it's harder to scare adults, and I'm telling you, man.
With movies.
Probably, yeah.
FNAF sort of clings on to that point of childhood and tries to scare people through that. So kids who have maybe only been exposed to a couple of points of horror in media see that and go, scary. Adults go back to that, not for the scares, but because it's nostalgic.
Nostalgic horror.
Yes.
Honestly, I'd buy that. That's probably why the It movies were so popular. It 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Because It was a really big deal way back in the day, so Pennywise became part of the, national subconscious. And then when it got remade into a more book-accurate movie, a lot of adults were probably very interested in that movie because it was nostalgic horror.
Good old Nickel Smart.
What I'm kind of getting at with FNAF and its relation to...
I prefer Dime Intelligent.
Quarter Intellectual.
Oh! Dollar Genius!
What I'm getting at with FNAF and the way it brings people to attention is that... God damn it, you guys suck.
Good old Nickel Smart.
Nickel Smart. I'm sorry, Trevor.
FNAF tries to cling on to nostalgia rather than the actual scare itself.
Okay.
And so you're saying that other games
It's
and
trying
movies
to-
are just replicating that?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Not
How many
creating...
examples do you see online of that? Like, Garten of Ban.
All the
Look at that.
backroom games.
Dude, I've been seeing a lot of that stuff, and it's like...
Hello Neighbor. That was real big a few years ago. It's all FNAF jump scare style games.
It's this sort of revolving door of cartoony, nostalgic sort of content that's rehashed infinitely to
What about Poppy's
generate...
Playtime?
I've never heard of it.
That's the one with the big blue monster. It's called Huggy Wuggy.
There's Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Wissy, Cummy Wummy, Shitty Witty.
No. Mommy Longlegs.
So yeah, FNAF is entirely fueled by nostalgia. I mean, like, the horror genre just feels kind of filled with all that gunk,
And all
it
they're
doesn't feel
doing is
very
replicating.
scary anymore.
Well, perhaps you're just getting
Maybe
used
I'm
to
old
it.
like you, Spence, but...
Or you're just getting used to the scares.
You know how you would get used to the scares, guys?
How?
No.
By going to a spooky place. IRL.
I'm already in one.
All right, everybody, hop on the Segway.
This is literally Spence's bathroom.
Hey, that was smooth as fuck, and you can't even deny it, Spence. Alright, so our next topic today is spooky places we've been.
Segways are gay as fuck. Who would even drive one?
Paul Blart.
I just did, to this topic. Trevor, why don't you lead us? It's time to confess to a crime you committed.
Guys, that's it. I have to admit to it. I committed tax fraud.
No, not that one!
Oh, my bad. So,
You didn't tax fraud. You don't have taxes.
You don't have frauds.
we don't make any money anyway.
What are frogs?
Ribbit.
Years ago, when I was still in high school, right? I was maybe a freshman. I equipped some mining gear. Quite literally. Strapping one of those headlights onto my head. Banding it tight around my cranium.
Got a pickaxe?
No, I didn't have a pickaxe, but I had a set of trousers on, some heavy-duty gloves, and some dust-resistant sleeves as I wandered into an abandoned nursing home. And I'm not kidding. Because in the place that we live, undisclosed town number 347.
Well, were the doors already open?
No, because there were no doors. They had rotted away.
Also, they were already open.
Technically.
I mean, the reason I say this is the rules of urban exploration is as long as you don't, like, bust open a locked door, it's open.
It was still trespassing. I committed trespassing. This was long, long ago. Enough for the statute of limitations to free me. Anyway, me and a team of other people that were really just interested to see this abandoned nursing home wander in. Do you know how weird it is to find medical documents on people that died 40 years ago?
That's a HIPAA violation right there.
That's spooky as fuck.
It was. We're talking like empty,
Beds?
Oh, empty beds smashed into the walls, plaster falling off the ceiling in the cafeteria, right? The cafeteria was probably the weirdest sight out of all of it. This caved-in ceiling wrapped around almost like a reverse wave, like it defied gravity. And this sea of mold crawled down the yellow insulation and wrapped onto the floor, spreading across the strewn about tables and seats. Chairs lie everywhere, dust flung about. I mean, past that, honestly, it wasn't really that interesting.
No, yeah.
It was just a lot of rotted building and old people. A lot of documents from the 70s.
That is a HIPAA violation.
Yeah.
Those should have been disposed of.
Those should have been incinerated.
Or shredded.
Or shredded.
But, yeah, I broke into an old nursing home. But to be fair, like, no one had taken care of it. It sat there for as long as it did.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound to me like you broke into it. Although, we can't give legal advice because of legal reasons.
Mm-hmm. Saul Goodman.
Good Salman. I mean, honestly, that does sound pretty morbid. There's something very
freaky,
spooky, like very reminding you of your own mortality about that kind of scenario.
About nursing homes and decrepit
The
nursing
smell,
homes.
the smell and the sounds. I mean, everything's muffled from outside, but there's obviously no noise coming from the inside.
You know,
any device, any beepers are long dead. What?
Hold on, that's a thing that bugs me. You know those ghost adventure shows?
Yeah.
They never explore old nursing homes. You'd think that's where the most ghosts would be.
HIPAA violations.
No,
well,
so many people fucking die there.
There's not a whole lot of old nursing homes that aren't being either used or completely torn down.
That's fair. But
unlike sanitariums and places, hospitals and old hotels.
I mean, to be fair, that place now does not exist. It's been leveled and built into a new
building. The thing
building.
is, with those ghost shows, the majority of people that the ghosts that they talk to, with heavy air quotes, are like victims of horrible murders, or the murderers of these things. Old folks' homes, a lot of people die there, but usually they're relatively peaceful.
I guess so.
I mean,
hold on, that creates a new plot hole, though. Why don't they go to places like Gary, Indiana, the murder capital of the world, for a little bit? Like, they never explore abandoned places in bad neighborhoods, just like remote isles and ghost towns and shit. Nothing like,
there's no risk.
This is the part of town we don't go to.
There's no risk.
How are they going to find proof
it's
of
not
ghosts?
Spooky.
It's spooky.
Okay.
You've been to Gary, Indiana.
You know what is
spooky?
You know what is spooky?
Okay, hold on. You
the
go...
old rotted nursing home.
Yeah, for sure.
You decide between a sanitarium versus Gary, Indiana. Which one's more spooky?
Gary, Indiana.
Traditionally, aesthetically speaking.
Gary, Indiana.
I'm going to disagree.
I'm going to agree that we disagree.
Let me finish on my
more?
tale. I didn't get to describe the smells and the sound. You're freaky. The sound, listen, when you walk on insulation, you don't expect it to be crunchy, right?
Oh, that was probably asbestos.
Probably. I mean, good thing we wore gas masks when we went inside.
You wore gas masks?
We did. Huh. Which, to be fair, is a little weird, but we had access to some.
You did?
Don't question it, okay? Go ask freshman high school me. Fuck, I don't even know how he got one, okay? Anyways.
What kind of high schooler has a gas mask? You making drugs?
Walter.
You
gotta feed me, Walter.
Yo, Mr. White.
Deep cuts.
Surprisingly, it was more muffled in there than like a professional studio.
Well,
I mean, this was right next to, a pretty busy road. Couldn't hear any cars going by, even semi-trucks. Not a sound penetrated the walls.
Well, you said that there was insulation on the floor, right?
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
Was-
Insulation is just about the same thing as soundproofing foam. So yeah, it's also kind of like snow. Like, you know how snow has sound deadening properties?
Yeah.
Why it's always quieter when there's a freshly laid layer of snow on the ground?
Also, we went sometime in the evening. We didn't wait till nighttime. So we got to see the evening sun sort of poke through the walls. And, well, that place was built in, like, the 50s. There was a lot of stuff flying around, especially when we were disturbing everything in there.
But honestly, that is kind of cool to see, just, like, decrepit buildings like that. Especially
Honestly,
with the
I could
sun.
see why some people pick it up as a hobby, because it was kind of cool. I know I'm making it sound kind of lame as fuck, but, like...
Urban exploration is a huge thing.
It was really interesting in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Even though it was just a vacant place that was, like, rotting to the ground.
Yeah.
Speaking of rotting places, where have you been?
You're putting me on the spot. I was gonna.
Actually, I got one.
Do you want to go
I'm
around?
gonna-
But
the
mine's
Gonna throw one
unfortunately
to
mine's
Spence, so we go
mine's a
around the
little
Okay.
mine's a little less interesting than yours because it was where
Down here.
somewhere I used to work.
down here.
I used to work in a nursing home.
Wait a second.
To this.
Oh my god.
Not the
Spence!
same. Not the same
You're
one.
that old?
Not the same
You worked
one.
in the 1950s nursing home?
Actually,
the
that
same
doesn't surprise
one.
me.
That's lore.
Couple
That's
cities
Spence
over.
lore.
Spence,
Anyway.
you should have destroyed the files. That's a HIPAA violation.
I'm well aware, and I wasn't at that
He's
one.
well out of the statute of limitations. That was like, what,
I'm-
100 years ago?
Anyway, I worked at this nursing home for a few years, and I just remember specifically one instance that was relatively spooky. So we had this resident, who I will not name.
His name is Quandale Dingle.
No, it was a she.
Quandalius Dingleless.
But anyway,
Why did you feminize the last name, too?
she was not all there. When she would be in her wheelchair, she would try to turn on the lights. She'd end up turning them off and then try to turn them back on again. And she would do this throughout the day. And so in her room, it looked like a light show. Like, it looked like they had like a straight up DJ performing in there sometimes. Anyway, she got sick one time and eventually passed away. Through the next week or so, the lights inside that room would turn on and off. The call button, because you know how like all nursing homes nowadays, they have call buttons either beside the bed or in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. The call buttons would turn on, and they would go into the room, and they still only had the one resident in there who was her neighbor, and it was never her light. It was always either the bed light that she was at, or the light from the bathroom, which no one was in. And the lights inside the room would turn on and off randomly. And we had the maintenance guy in there. He took out a chunk of the wall to try and see if there were loose wires, and there wasn't. This happened for like a solid week. I saw it when I was working on the evening shift.
Are you sure the neighbor resident wasn't turning them on?
Yes, because the thing is, it will show there were like 3 or 4 lights on above each door. Each one represented a certain button. Which button was pushed, so you knew where to go. Whether it was the top one, which was like the bathroom, the second one down was the first bed, third one down was the last bed. And then there was a red light underneath it for like emergencies. And it was always the first bed, which was her bed, or the bathroom, which the neighbor lady was bedridden, so she was never in the bathroom unless a CNA
Accompanied.
came in there and moved her in there.
Uh-huh.
So the lights would just randomly turn on.
Did the neighbor ever bring up the possibility that she was with a ghost, or
She wondered and asked the nursing staff. And I mean, well, what can we say? Like, maybe we don't know why. We don't know why the lights are.
Maybe Grandma pushed them so many times that they just started flickering.
Well, again, that's
like
what,
she just broke the fuck out of
like
the
the
light
maintenance
buttons.
guy was in there every other day trying to, like, and I said he cut out a part of the wall to try and see if they were frayed wires, which
Did
there
he
weren't.
try turning them off and then turning them back on?
Yes.
That didn't work?
No. Because each
Fuck.
one of those call lights has a cancel button underneath it for the CNAs or maintenance or whoever
Dragon
to cancel the
level
call
threat.
light after they get inside the room. But yeah, that was really, other than that, I really don't have any other real spooky stories.
It's a very spooky encounter, I must say.
I thought of a
And
scary place.
it was just
Also,
Sorry, finish your thought.
sorry. It was just odd because it was a first-hand account, and I've heard it from other CNAs that were on duty during first shift, but I actually saw it.
Yeah, I'm always skeptical with ghost stories, but it seems like everyone's got one, so it's just enough to leave me coming back like, yeah, maybe there is something. I'm gonna maintain that I don't think there is, but the world would be a lot cooler if there was, you know?
So
Are you okay over there,
I
Trevor?
thought of another ghost story.
here, Tommy, what's yours?
One day, okay, this will be a quick one. One day, Chase, we all know him, we all love him. Guy that always skips legs, you know. He one day visits my abode, right? He uses the toilet, and I kid you not, he left, and I go in, and there's a ghost. A ghost has tampered with my toilet because it won't flush. The motherfucker was hiding a ghost in his prison pocket the whole time. Do you know how bad... I had just moved, by the way. I had just moved. This was like 2 months after. I didn't have a plunger at the time. He came over at like 11 p.m. You know what I had to do? I had to wait. I had to let his defecate sit in my toilet for 12 hours and then have to open it and just manually plunge that shit back into the underworld where it came from, along with the spirit he released. So truly, poltergeists do exist, tampering with physical items. He just happened to have one stowed away. So that was my personal ghost story. You did say everyone has one, so I thought I'd share mine.
I guess so. So, to clarify, the spookiest places we've been are a
Nursing
senior
home.
home, that same one 50 years later after it had been
Different
abandoned,
Yeah.
Different one.
and the toilet after Chase uses it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that is scary.
Okay.
That was scary as fuck.
So, I'm going to talk about a cave.
Ooh.
The Goon Cave.
No,
Damn it.
sorry. We're technically in one right now. If that's a good consolation.
Dracula.
No, you are not using the basement as a goon cave. I'm
Well,
going
can
to
we use,
veto
like, the
that.
other one? There's a dungeon.
No.
Aww.
Anyway,
Other cave, not the Goon Cave.
an unspecified cave somewhere in South Dakota. My grandpa, he used to lead a troop of Boy Scouts, and they would take the Boy Scouts into this cave from time to time. The cave is registered as stable and also unexplored. And he took me and my cousins one year when I was visiting. We went in and we explored this cave. It was a kind of, you had to get on your hands and knees and crawl for, I'm going to say, maybe 15 or 20 feet, as there's just this shallow arch and a lot of gravel you have to crawl on to get into the cave proper. And it leads into this trapezoidal shaped room with what looks like a cliff about halfway into it. The cliff drops maybe about as far as you are tall, Trevor.
Like 2 feet.
Like 2 feet.
At least a foot and a
Okay,
half.
not that intimidating.
And then there's a crevice. And you go down this crevice, and it leads to another ledge. And past that ledge, there is this big, gaping hole. Maybe about as big as a basketball.
Where did the gaping hole lead to?
No one knows. It goes back further than any flashlight my grandpa or any of the Boy Scouts he's brought in has been able to shine it. And that's why the cave's registered as unexplored. No one knows how far back that hole goes, how deep it goes, or where it goes. It could connect to any number of caves in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
Tommy, I have a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get one of those camera robots, and we need to put it in there and so we can see where it goes.
I brought that up, but it would kind of kill the moment because I'm not claustrophobic. Some of my cousins were, and they freaked out about the crawl and the squeezing through crevices and whatnot. But what scared me about that cave, and it was pretty scary, was just the... It's kind of like a sense of dread, you know? Like, have you ever seen videos of a drop-off some scuba diver sees while he's exploring the ocean?
Yeah, and it's just darkness.
It's just immense darkness.
Just a gradient down into complete nothingness.
Or when he's just out in the middle of ocean and you just look down, it's just darkness everywhere.
I think it was Hitchcock, but it could have been someone else who said that all fear is fear of the unknown. And I think that illustrates that, like, hole in the cave pretty perfectly, because there's just something utterly dreadful about staring into some deep depth that you'll never understand.
I mean, no light pierced it all the way.
That's right. I shined a flashlight.
Did you drop anything down there? Just to test how far it'd go?
Well,
I mean, you
it's
can't.
not.
It's vertical.
It's a hole. It's
horizontal.
not fully vertical. It's got a slant to it, but
okay.
it would be really hard to drop anything into it, and also
You'd have to like throw something in.
Yeah, and also you wouldn't want to because it's it's a cave. You don't want to destroy the cave. It's a natural place.
I mean, something like a small pebble. Just ching, ching, ching.
I'm sure you would have heard it bounce, but you wouldn't have known where it went.
Now I really want to see the cave. That
Well,
sounds cool.
look, you found a basketball-sized hole. I'm afraid you found it. The Skibossy.
No.
Well,
I killed the tension.
Maybe. I don't know if you could have ruined the tension. I feel very... I pulled some of
Legitimately, that's some cool-ass lore. You found the hole.
Yeah, I pulled some tricks out of my DM pocket to narrate that story. Oh, Dungeons and Dragons. You know what reminds me of Dungeons and Dragons a lot?
Dark, puckered hole.
A basketball-sized hole.
Video games, guys.
Choo-choo. Segue.
Video games about dark, puckered holes.
Wait.
Trevor,
What?
those are on your library.
Oh my god!
So, guys,
Play freaky games on
this
your main?
is my topic. I wanted to talk about the most horrifying video game.
Most horrifying video game moments.
Something in a video game that just utterly shocked and scared you.
I have one.
Spence, we're starting with you. Trevor,
So-
start cooking.
Okay.
As soon as I say what it's from, you're going to instantly know.
Subnautica.
Yes. So, I have never been one to be scared of the ocean. I have actively gone out onto sandbars hundreds of feet away from the beach. Not a care in the world. I was playing Subnautica for the very first time, and I happened to go into one of the dunes. And in these dune areas, there are these things called, for whoever doesn't know this, there are things out there called Reaper Leviathans. And you know that you're getting near one before you see it because of this just horrifying roar that they make. And it echoes. And I just remember first hearing that as I was in this like mini submersible, and I just remember stopping dead where I was, not knowing what that was, where it came from, or how big it was. I just remember stopping and just wide-eyed, like, what was that? And again, like, these areas, it's open ocean, but the thing is, the visibility cuts off after like about 100 feet or so, or 200 feet. So you can't see this, and you just hear that. And I just remember after snapping back to like consciousness, I did a 180 and backed out. I have never been so terrified in a video game beyond that moment. That moment, I don't play a lot of horror games. And I went into Subnautica not really thinking about it being a horror game. And I'm still not afraid of the ocean, but I am slightly afraid of Subnautica. Even to this day, after all the hours I put into that game, I'm still terrified. I still get a shiver up my back when I hear that roar.
Wow.
I played through Subnautica. When you go towards the crashed ship, it's not really that bad. A lot of light pierces through the sea, and it's pretty easy to see the Reaper Leviathans, especially if you know they're coming. But when you go into the dark zones, like the deeper areas, it can get very freaky. Your sea moth will see right in front of you, and that's it.
Like the
don't
mountains, the mountain zone.
Yeah, exactly.
That is one spot I do not go to. I will actively avoid that because I know how many Leviathans there are out there.
Trevor?
Now, I technically have two.
I'll have 2 as well.
One is for a much younger me that I experienced, and I'd laugh at it like today.
Maze
but it
Flash
was
game.
freaky.
Maze Flash game.
Not the Maze Flash game.
Goddamn.
Instead, it's pretty close.
Okay.
It's a very shitty game, okay?
Alright.
Do you remember the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like the live action one?
Yeah.
We had it on DVD, right? And when you get DVDs for like movies back in the day, there was some cool shit on them, like the special features, right?
Mm-hmm. That was like one of the main reasons to get the movies.
I'm scared. I know where this is going.
They had a game called, what was it? I don't remember what the game was called, but basically in the special features, there was this game you could play called, like Tunnel Diver or something. And what it would have you do is you would go into, like, the sewer, and what you'd be presented with are, like, it's just some stupid JPEGs. But for kid me, who was up at, like up late into the night and everyone was in bed, and I was right in front of, like, the, plasma tube TV, just, like, radiating this harmful light, just these winding passages filled with complete darkness. And there's not music in the game. It's just these howling, echoey wind noises. Like, imagine the Minecraft, like, horror noises if that was just constant. Cool. And you had to just choose, like, different directions to go. It'd show these, like, green arrows. And there were some, like, T-joints. There were some, like, crossways, like, 4-ways. And you had to find your way out of the sewer. And there was, I'm trying to remember specifically, there was a creature chasing you. And it would literally jump scare you. But it was, like, freaky as fuck because it was, like, old practical effect jump scare.
Oh.
So, like, 7-year-old me is, like, clicking on the remote, going through these tunnels with, like, just the worst fucking environmental noises ever experienced.
So did you hear it, like, getting closer to you?
Yes. There were footsteps that would play, too. Like, I mean, if I was playing, I'd be like, funny JPEG. But, like, for 7-year-old me, it was legitimately terrifying. Like, I'll show you games after, I'll show you guys the game after production. But, it was legitimately terrifying for me. And to relate to something more modern, I've already kind of brought up Amnesia. Mm-hmm. In Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, which is the second installment out of the original 3, you come to this sort of segment where there's this hallway, right? And there's all these gears turning in the walls. There's a door at the end, and there's these 4 lights next to it, right? And to your left and right, there's 2 hallways. And they go into these different puzzle rooms. The puzzles I remember them being surprisingly difficult. I spent like 2 hours between those rooms trying to figure it out. And some of the rooms had puzzles that wound into other rooms, so you had to go and backtrack back and forth. And you got this sense that the center room was like a safe haven, You finish all 4 puzzles, and you get back, you look towards the door with the lights, and it's gone. And instead it's a dark hallway moving forward. And then one of the creatures, the fucking, like, droop faces, is chasing behind you. And the thing is, you can run forward in the hallway, it never ends. You have to run back.
Towards it?
Mm-hmm. It's all just an illusion. When you walk back into it, you walk through the door.
That's interesting.
It's clever, but it's creepy
clever.
as fuck. As you're going through the puzzles, it generates this sense of haven, of safety in that room. And then you come back to it, and you're endlessly tormented running down this hallway, and the only answer is to face the threat directly and walk into it.
That's actually really smart. I've never played the game, so I didn't know that. But that is so interesting, just being, like, infinitely running down this hallway, which is usually the first thing anyone would do, only for it to never end. You would have to have the thought of facing the thing or running back towards it.
This is freaky as fuck. Thoughts? Wussy?
Spooky.
Really
Amnesia goes hard. There's plenty of segments, but that one's probably the best one.
So, this happened to me when I was 14. About 2 months into being 14, maybe 3 or 4. Basically, what happened is my parents at the time bought a house, and they moved their animals to the house first, and they were having me hang out and watch the animals just overnight to, like, be able to get up in the morning and take care of them in the evening. We had rabbits and chickens, a cat, not major livestock, but we did have a few animals that I needed to take care of. And I was given food and everything, and I had a little laptop that would play some fairly old, fairly shitty games. One of the old games, which is by no means shitty, Trevor, I'm looking at you, is Baldur's Gate 2.
Bro.
So,
ain't no way.
It's a wonderful game. You just need to like the story.
It's not like anything else.
It's got good combat, too. It's just kind of hard to approach. Essentially, there's a scene in the game very early on where you just got out of a creepy guy's horrific mage torture dungeon. And there's existential dread in there. There's a bunch of, like, very scary things in there. Like, there's a servant who's begging to be killed because he was so faithful that the mage made the servant immortal. And the servant had, like, every injury he had ever encountered in his entire life, and they wouldn't heal, and he was just this slobbering mess in a test tube, and he was forgotten because the mage forgot that he made this servant immortal, like, a forever ago, and he's just begging that you end him finally.
Freaky.
And there's worse stuff than that in there. And I'm alone at a new house. It's, like, midnight. And like I said, I'm newly 14, so I'm young, but I'm getting kind of older. But I'm scared, I just finished this giant mage dungeon thing. And I'm walking around in Baldur's Gate proper, which is this big, sprawling metropolis. There's a bunch of magic shenanigans. There's a fancy magic carnival you can go to. It's a wonderful city. It's a wonderful place.
We should go visit sometime.
Essentially, well, while you're wandering around it, you find these angry villagers burning a woman at the stake. It's a really big tone shift because you're like, oh, wow, look, this is how the market system works in the game. And then there's someone screaming about being burnt at the stake. And the voice actor was earning her fucking paycheck. Like, it sounded like she was actually getting tased in the sound recording booth. It was, like, horrific screams of pain and whatnot. And I'm fresh into the game, I'm learning how to play it. I had just completed what is essentially the tutorial dungeon. So, every character in the game who's recruitable to your party has a face portrait, and most of the others don't. So I noticed that this character has a face portrait, and there has to be a way to save her before the villagers burn her at the stake. So I try over and over and over again, and it feels like I'm in a time loop because I can't figure out how to save her. I talk to this dude, and every single time I hear this clip of her just screaming in pain. And remember, I'm in a strange house alone in the middle of the night. Like, there's no one around for miles. There's no one I can call. There's nothing I can do. There's no power. There's power, but there weren't any lights. So I was just playing by the laptop.
Bro played PTSD on loop.
Eventually, I figured out how to save her. And it was really, really obvious. I was just probably tired and needed to sleep.
Water bucket.
No. Basically, if you attack people, just in general, some mages spawn in who are immune to damage and cast a bunch of spells that kill you. So you can't go GTA in the game. And you need to interact with the stake that they're burning her at to take her down before you attack the villagers to save her. Otherwise, it'll spawn the guards in. But if you get her down from the stake before you attack them, then the guards don't spawn in.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. I had no way to Google that. So I was in PTSD loop, and I swear that her horrifying scream is just burned into my brain. It was such a scary moment. I had to shut off. I played something else. I remember it being cheerful.
Maple Story or something.
That's an online game.
Skill issue.
Homeschooled. Number 2, because I had 2.
Yes.
Also
the TMNT game. God damn it.
Actually, no. Have either of you played Dragon Age Origins?
Bless you.
I know Chase played Dragon Age Inquisition, and that's his favorite game.
That's no one's favorite game.
That's his. By the way, Chase agrees with that entirely.
God damn it. So
No, I haven't.
So Dragon Age.
No.
It's got a 4th game coming out, and it's looking like every game in the series but the first one is going to be awful. But Dragon Age Origins is a really good game.
That was the first one? Mm-hmm. Okay.
They call it Origins because it had this thing called an origin system, where basically you'd get to pick between 6 different backgrounds for your character to have. And each of them would come with a sort of mini campaign that would last about 2 hours.
Okay.
And, well, in one of them, you play as a mage. Obviously, that's the one I picked.
Of course. Fitting.
Yeah.
It's just who I be.
Fair enough.
And in the mage origin, you have to go into this kind of dream realm where there's demons. And this guy betrays you. And it's kind of shot and musicked in such a way that's very, very scary. Or at least very trippy. It's hard to explain exactly the feeling of betrayal you get. But it's a guy you, like, talked to a bear demon for to, like, teach him how to be courageous, among a bunch of other things. Eventually, you get out of this dream realm, and suddenly things are happy again. You're talking to this guy in armor who's visiting, you're chatting up with your college buddies, and they're, like, the tone goes from dark betrayal to, like, okay, things are cool now. And suddenly, one of your college buddies is like, hey, I need to talk to you. Can you meet me in the corner of this church that's built into the Mage Tower? Because, of course, there's a church built into the Mage Tower. Mm-hmm. And we go there, and it turns out the girl he's been seeing that he won't show anyone is apparently a priest. And number 1, she can't be with any man. Number 2, the clergy and the Magi can't get together. And he's like, hey, I think they're going to remove my ability to feel emotions like they do to all renegade mages, and I need you to help me not be that. And to do that, I need to escape the tower and break this vial of my blood they have. So there's a whole quest where you have to break into the vault and, stop him from having a vial of blood. And at the very end of the quest, you get found out by the Fuzz,
Yeah.
The Knights Templar and the First Enchanter, they show up.
There's no way to get out of that.
That's right. It's a tutorial mission. It has to end a certain way. And they show up, and they're like, hey, you're coming with us. You failed. I got you caught, too, because the guy's girlfriend went with you on the quest. And she's a high-level rogue, I guess, which was kind of funny.
Interesting.
And suddenly, the guy stabs his own fucking hand. Your college friend, and he uses it to paralyze and just make the entirety of the group that showed up to arrest him just contort and erupt in pain. And it's the game's first use of blood magic, which is this big dark force in Dragon Age Origins. It's actually in all the Dragon Age games. It's a bit of a plot point. And it's such a heel turn. It's foreshadowed in the weird demon dream. But the first time I played this game, I was, again, probably too young to be playing it, and again, playing it in the dark alone, and you can just imagine just the absolute betrayal at exactly that moment. It was fucking terrifying, man. I still think about that scene. I played through it recently, and the special effects and the cutscene didn't age very well. So it's a little cornier than I remember it, kind of like revisiting a good old movie.
I mean, that's how it is with everything. I played basically a Flash TMNT game.
But there's such a, I don't know, there's a raw feeling of dread with something like that,
I'm sorry, you just aged yourself. You said Flash game. Flash ain't a thing no more.
Spence, I'm old now.
You're old. Welcome to the club. We have jackets. But there's also union dues.
That game does legitimately sound, 1, cool as fuck, but 2, God, that is such a build-up. That kind of feels like, what the fuck, Soap's betrayal in COD. Like, you work with him through basically the whole game, and then he just shoots you. Well, he shoots you, like, injuring you. Doesn't kill you.
You mean...
And he just looks at you.
You mean General Shepard?
Yeah, my bad, fuck. It's been forever since I played the game.
No, because you're Soap. Fope.
But
Fope,
yeah,
he didn't shoot you on the fucking
shoots you in
beat.
the leg, and then he just flies away.
In the helicopter after he takes the computer.
It's like almost at the end of the game too. So like you've been following this man's orders, and he's been like your leader figure. Then he just abandons you.
Damn.
Just like that.
He shoots you and literally the coolest character in the game. And you have to stare at the dead character that you liked so much.
Yeah.
That's some emotions right there. What's scary to me is like Magic and Dragon Age is very like RPG mechanic-y. It will remind you of like World of Warcraft spells. So it's like there's nothing about it that's inherently wrong in any way. And then he just uses blood magic out of nowhere, and what goes from oh, we're back in the real world, everything's whimsical and happy again, is just immediately like
just,
dark and dreadful. It's like, oh no.
That's not very RPG-y.
Yeah, not very RPG-y at all. So, Spence. What the fuck is a scary ceiling?
A scary ceiling is not so much
my
an actual...
Spence. Look up.
Ignore the...
Oh my god!
Dude, there's an Ethernet cable.
It says oob. Wait, hold on, I gotta spin around. Ah! Sorry, it says the word boo up there.
No, it says gullible. I made you look.
Oh, you took my
I
liver.
was still looking at the Ethernet cable.
Ah, classic Tommy.
But anyway...
I am going to die.
The scary ceiling isn't so much an actual physical ceiling.
Are you sure I just looked at it?
It does look kind of...
So let me start with this. So you know back when like storytelling was thing, right? So
Back when it was, I think it still
yeah.
is.
But like
Spence,
the main
referred
point
to all of human
of
history.
the main point of media was basically storytellers. So I'm going to fast forward from the beginning of time to about like 1700s, 1800s. Okay, so there were scary stories back then. Scary stories that we would like laugh at now, right? Because
the
they're
birds?
so because they're just so like typical, like barely lukewarm horror we would consider nowadays, right?
Right.
Okay, and same thing for about things during like the 40s, 50s, 30s, etc. Great example, Alfred Hitchcock. His type of horror is like, I mean, okay, yeah, I guess it's scary. And then you move to modern horror, which is decently scary.
I'm not yet
But
ready.
it's kind of becoming that the same kind of horror. Now, the point of the scary ceiling is, will we reach a point in time where all points of horror minus jump scares are just going to become everyone's like, meh, yeah, I mean, it's scary and all. Are we just going to come down to just having jump scares?
No.
You're essentially talking about, to borrow a gaming term, power creep, but for the fear factor. So like terror creep.
I don't think so.
Because
Straight up no.
because things
Straight
that
up
are
no?
scary,
Straight up no. I'll
because
explain
the
my
things
answer.
that are scary now in 50 plus years, people are going to be like, yeah, I mean, ooh, it's a
Wonderful Life.
isn't that a Christmas movie?
Yeah. It's
the
scary
scariest
as,
thing of all.
It's scary as fuck. He's about to kill himself, man. It's a suicide prevention film.
But Trevor, you said hard disagree.
Straight up no.
Why?
Fear
Explain.
is an innate emotion that everyone carries, and they all react with it differently. Turns out, experiences with scary things don't carry over into our young naturally. Like, they're going to be scared of things that we got scared of, that we got over anyway. They're going to get scared of those things too. It doesn't carry over. There are kids out there that are watching original horror classics, like the original Friday the 13th or the original Saw, and are getting just as scared as maybe we did watching them.
Yeah,
It doesn't stack like that.
But the generation after the Birds probably would have had the same reaction to the Birds if, say, the graphics weren't so silly in that movie. I think the reason horror movies needed to get scarier, like they have, is because things like, and I'm going to keep calling back to this, the Birds, were really, really scary because a lot of people hadn't seen a movie.
Right.
And that will just do it for you. You're just done at that point. Like, those people who reacted to the birds by running out and screaming and freaking out probably would have reacted the same, if not worse, to a horror movie that was way better than the birds or way worse than the birds, because they hadn't experienced a movie or a horror movie up until that point.
I think it's a case-to-case thing, really.
Yeah.
Like, if someone gets desensitized by seeing something horrific early on, maybe. I mean, think about all the people that, like, you know, when internet became a widely accessible thing, accessed things like LiveLeak. That probably skipped them ahead of the progression that maybe older people got, you know?
Yeah.
They watched an old flick like Friday the 13th and were like, ooh, or something like that. You know, there's like legitimate middle schoolers, sometimes even younger, that are getting exposed to like actual gore videos online and like cartel executions and stuff. When people get exposed to stuff like that, or just aggressive overconsumption of media in general, that can really mess with their perception of horror, right?
Perhaps.
I mean, kids will always be scared of the dark, though. So
I think
that
a
means
lot of people in general are scared
That's
of the dark.
more of a
Fear of the unknown.
What's the term?
all
something we
fear
had
is fear of the unknown.
Something we had discussed earlier, I guess.
Oh shit! Wait, if all fear is fear of the unknown, as we know more and more, will things get less and less scary?
That was the point I was trying to make. When we grow up, we become more jaded, we've experienced more things, and things are less scary. Kids, until they experience it, are probably going to be scared of it regardless of what it is.
Hold on. You were more educated at 5 years old than most peasants in medieval England were in their entire lives. So, like, if all fear is fear of the unknown, maybe we'll reach a point in human progression where kids are so educated by the time they have enough brain power to be cognizant of things other than the most primal of fears. It might be that horror movies aren't a genre because we know everything, or close enough to everything.
Potentially, but that would be complete detachment from human emotion.
Which we're kind of growing out of. If you think about it, modern society is going further and further away from caring about or having emotions. That's why mental health is at an all-time low
It's
right
true.
now.
I could kind of see it happening, but that's so far down the road, dude. Halloween after Halloween that goes by, we'll be long dead in the ground before people stop feeling like that at all.
They said the same thing about pocket-sized computers, and that was about 20 years, bud. We might be worrying about way more existential things.
We are... Well, actually, they got Neuralink. Fuck! We are cooked. They're gonna take our emotions and put them in the funny Neuralink chips.
You have to buy Life Plus to get happiness. Best we can do is fleeting joy.
I think we found the scariest thing of all, everyone, on the Halloween special.
Microtransactions!
Microtransactions and the ever-encroaching advancement of technology, stealing away your humanity.
Sorry, Spence. I feel like
Bitch.
Shut the fuck up. I feel like Trev and I kind of hijacked your point there.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I was mainly pointing to like how lukewarm nowadays horror was back then. And how I'm wondering if modern day horror is going to be such a lukewarm topic for people, say, 200 years down the road. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have different things to be scared about then. But compared to modern day horror, which, I mean, for the most part, it feels like it's touched on every basis. We have things from space, not things from space, things underground, things from the sky, invisible things, things in the fog, things in your food, things in your fridge, a giant clown that's also really smart with money.
Yeah, don't forget about Dollar Genius.
Good old Nickel Wise.
Oh my god.
No, sorry, Nickel Smart, my bad.
So, Spence, what's the... I'm not well-versed in horror. What's the name of the movie that has the famous shower scene in it? Where there's a guy with a knife, and he comes up and he stabs the girl in the shower.
Actually,
That's Friday the 13th.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
That's
no,
Friday?
Wait, no, my bad.
He's talking about the
Halloween.
Hitchcock movie. The one that I was referencing. I'm pretty sure it's just called, like, Psycho.
That sounds right to me.
Not American
I feel
Psycho,
like
because that's the one with Bateman.
Yeah.
I thought, like, you know, the movies with Michael Myers had a scene where he walks in on someone taking a shower.
I think it's a reference to it. But basically the way the scene's shot, there's a woman taking a shower, and she can't see the curtain. and someone creeps in and stabs her through the curtain, and it's a very horrific scene the way it's shot, because
it's all in black and white, and you just see what's supposed to be blood going down the drain in the shower.
A lot of it was the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Anywho, that scene doesn't make any fucking sense to someone 500 years ago, because showers.
What the fuck is a kalam?
Well, 500 years ago, 1524, there weren't showers. Or at least they wouldn't recognize that scene as a shower then, right?
Probably
I
not.
think so.
Not the way it is. I mean, to them, like, a shower would be like a fucking
first off,
bucket.
if you just showed anything like that to someone 500 years ago, they would immediately probably go catatonic because they just saw a picture move.
That's completely fair.
Look, I'm just saying.
If you got them to comprehend it.
It's like you could kill a medieval peasant with the quote, a quirked up white boy with a little bit of swag busted down sexual style. Izzy goated with the sauce.
Look, I'm just saying, I'd bring a pair of AirPods back in time and put them in a medieval serf's ears and just play Rap God and see what happens to him.
He would start foaming at the mouth and die.
Nah, he'd break dance, bro. He'd get freaky with it.
So,
or he'd call you a witch.
Do you guys know about the dancing plague?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
In the
Trevor
1600s.
started the dancing plague.
Oh
It's
my
canon.
god, I'm a time traveler, and I just stuck AirPods in that one motherfucker's ear. And then they all just started getting freaky with it.
To those audience members unaware, you should Google the dancing plague. It's a pretty interesting case of mass psychosis, and better minds than ours have discussed it.
Yeah, we really don't know much about it.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
So we've gone kind of long. Spooky, scary episode.
I mean,
since
look, your
shivers
castle
down your
is pretty
spine.
big, Dracula.
We
Do you
had
have
to
any
go-
parting words before you let me out? And he goes home?
Yes. Would you consider that traditions are nothing more than graveyard peer pressure?
What the Sigma?
I'm Spooky, and these have been monsters.
No.
I'm a prisoner.
No, it is.
And he's an Italian. He's the worst monster of all.
Sorry to any Italian listeners or viewers or just people for the tacos thing.
Ramen tacos are a crime against God.
This has been the Creepy Monster Podcast.
Wait, so you're letting me out for real?
No.
Ah!